Go for it. Okay, Russell Brand accused of rape, assault, abuse, women, teen, Brit media splash. All right, because of because of he has a Russell Brand has his own YouTube channel with over 6.6 million followers. Why? Um, at first, he was just some wild man who was looked like a rock star, but he was a movie star, and he was in a lot of Hollywood films, Get Him to the Greek and so forth. And he was pretty hot for a little while, and even married Kate Perry in India or something by the Taj Mahal. And so, anyways, kind of a charmed life. But he's decided over the last few years to go into trying to report the truth to people, an anti-mainstream media narrative. So he says that these are the people that are doing a targeted attack against him. Why him? Why him? Well, it's just another man to take down. So if I have a reach online on social media, like okay, 220 people isn't nothing. If it was okay, even like 1,300 on the last channel that was deleted, still nothing. Not important. But if you have somebody Russell Brand and he's got 6.6 million YouTube followers, and he's on Rumble, and he has international scope, fame, wealth, all sorts of things. So that makes his reach to people in the millions, and so at first I didn't see this. I guess we'll have to put Matt Drudge into context. Matt Drudge has sold his soul to the machine, to liberal media, state-controlled media. So Matt Drudge is also homosexual, so he tends not to like heterosexual men that are successful and have big families. He tends not to like family men, and so people that have children. He tends not to like families or traditionalists. He tends not to like right-wing conservatives. He tends not to like Trump and Trump supporters. And so Russell Brand is just he's trying to have a channel but not get it deleted. So he has to do the juicy stuff on Rumble or some other platform that Google Alphabet does not control. But he still gets conspiratorial on his videos, yeah, for sure. And he definitely basically says that everybody in power, most of the elites, they're all lying, and they're part of a conniving cabal, and he's true. And maybe he gets in trouble for trying to expose them. This does seem like an organized hit attack. Someone that had salacious sex life when he was younger because he had access. Basically, like, if you don't have access to lots of young, beautiful women, then you just simply aren't going to have the kind of life experience that he's had. So I'm sure in the early days when he was hot shit, he was acting like he was Mr. King shit. And he was getting a lot of the movie roles, and he was doing the stand-up specials, and it was a funny persona. It was a funny character. But, it wasn't really meant to last. And I'm sure he got lots of sexual opportunities. I doubt he had to chase as much as tail was chasing him. So, especially a guy with that amount of money and success and fame and all the rest of it, I guess. As Freddie Mercury, you gave me fame and fortune and everything. I thank you all. Right. So, you gave me, no, he goes, you gave me fame and fortune and everything that goes with it. I thank you all. It's a really nice one. Is that We Are the Champions? Queen. They don't make them like they used to. So we'll just go ahead and this is the Channel 4. Um, when someone is in trouble, they show a picture of them looking serious. Like if the leftists, the mainstream media, if they want to make Trump look mean or something, they pick the picture where he, yeah. And when they want to paint like Joe Biden in a good light, they try to pass him off as some kind of friendly grandpa, and he's just, I'm a grandpa. I'm such a patriarch, and I'm such a fantastic leader. So you can see the way they're framing things, the way the mainstream media spins things. It's like I bet it's going to be in the news tonight, and because the if the mainstream media orchestrated this, then of course they're going to be it's going to be Russell Brand. They're going to call him what, right wing conspiracy theorist or some shit. They're trying to get him off, but he's so popular that they have trouble. It's kind of like Donald Trump. It's like they can't just sweep some of these guys aside, not lightly, and so they're having massive problems, uh, especially guys that gave up drinking and gave up drugs, like Russell Brand did, and there's people like Trump that never did drugs at all, maybe not even drank that much. So these guys that really don't, they just okay, they like women and they like to have sex and stuff, and that's not a crime. So it says Russell Brand accused of rape, sexual assault, and emotional abuse. Claims related to 7 year period are detailed in Times and Channel 4 investigation after actor had already denied allegations. So before he was a YouTuber, he was a famous actor. It says Russell Brand, this is from The Guardian in the UK, I believe. And Russell Brand has been accused of rape, sexual assault, and emotional abuse over a 7 year period at the height of his fame. The allegations between 2006 and 2013 were the result of a joint investigation by the Sunday Times, the Times, and Channel 4 dispatches. Brand denies the allegations. 5 alleged victims, 4 of them anonymous, were interviewed in the dispatches documentary aired on Saturday night. The Times title said they contacted the media personalities' representatives with details of the allegations, as well as information to help him recall the incidents in question in advance of its planned publication, giving them 8 days to respond. Okay, so he just said that he he is not guilty of these allegations and these charges, and he's going to fight them in court to the fullest extent. Brand's lawyers initially claimed to be unable to do so. The papers reported because of the large litany of questions and the decision to agree to women's requests to anonymize them. Uh, a woman tells of her experience on Channel 4's dispatches. Russell Brand in plain sight. He's grabbing at my underwear, pulling it to the side. I'm telling him to get off me, and he won't get off. Brand's, I don't really believe any of this shit happened. Brand's lawyers characterized the way in which the request for comment was made as part of a preconceived strategy aimed at damaging their client, according to the report. They added that he believed that there was a deeply concerning agenda to all this, namely the fact that he is an alternative media broadcaster competing with the mainstream media. The Sunday Times said Brand's lawyers did not reply to further requests for comment. It was after being given further opportunity to respond to the allegations that Brand decided to broadcast a statement online on Friday, the Sunday Times said. It added that it received no answer when the papers asked for the evidence Brand claimed contradicted their reporting. Um, According to the paper's report, one of the women said Brand entered into a relationship with her while he was 31 and she was still a 16-year-old schoolgirl. She reportedly said he referred to her as the child during an allegedly emotionally abusive and controlling 3 month relationship. She told dispatchers the presenter once forced his penis down her throat, making her choke, which led her to punch him in the stomach to make him stop. Okay. Another woman alleged Brand raped her in 2012 in his Los Angeles. Sunday Times reported, adding that she received treatment at a rape crisis center the same day. Um, that the alternative media truth seeker is under attack for sexual stuff, it's very suspect, you know. The so if these women were abused and he stuck their penis down their throat, all this stuff, all this bullshit, choking on penis or whatever this is. So the question remains: if Trump raped E. Jean Carroll in the early '90s, why wasn't he prosecuted then? Oh, he's prosecuted only 30 years later, before a re-election. Very suspicious timing, don't you think? And the timing of, okay, if all these women are raped and all this stuff, then why wasn't Russell Brand in trouble back in 2013, 10 years ago? They're waiting now. Why are they waiting? Why do they wait all this time? You wait 20 years, 30 years, and what's their evidence? The paper said she messaged him to say she had been scarred by him and felt taken advantage of, adding, "When a girl says no, it means no." Brand reportedly replied saying he was very sorry, the paper reported. The woman who said she met him at an after party for his Brand X chat show told dispatches she did not report the alleged rape to police due to being scared because of the actor's fame. A third woman said Brand sexually assaulted her while she worked with him in Los Angeles, and he threatened to take legal action if she told anyone about her allegation, the paper reported. The fourth woman described being sexually assaulted by Brand and him being physically and emotionally abusive towards her, the Sunday Times said. The paper said several others had accused Brand of physical and emotional abuse, sexual harassment, and bullying, adding that those who had come forward did not know each other and had mostly chosen to remain anonymous. The paper also reported that the woman who said she met Brand when age 16, uh, whom it gave the pseudonym Alice, contacted Brand's former agency, Tavistock Wood, in 2020 to alert them to his behavior she had alleged and seeking an apology. She said she was promised a response when he returned from a wellness retreat. When one came, she said it was from lawyers representing Brand, who issued a denial on his behalf and accused her of seeking financial gain. Okay, so we'll go over that financial gain. So these women probably aren't very wealthy. Okay, they might even have to hold down a job, and so they probably don't make a lot of money. But like, okay, they know people like Russell Brand and Donald Trump have money. Maybe Russell has what, multi-million dollars from Hollywood and stuff, and his enterprises, and maybe has the Patreon and all kinds of income streams, right? Old and new, and so he's good. He has his house in England, and he's living a great life. He's doing his YouTube Truth thing, and that's kind of exploding. He didn't really have to make movies for the rest of his life because, well, he's popular on the internet, right? Like Jordan Peterson or somebody like that. And yeah, he's mostly right. He's mostly conservative. He's mostly Republican, and he questions everything. And he questions all multi mainstream media lies of the liberal global world order, military industrial complex. He talks about whatever he can, whatever's not censored, right, by the powers that be. So um, I know I kind of foresee that on YouTube, Google Alphabet, that the masters of the technology, that they'll in the future kind of just pick and choose what's fair game and what's not. Typically, what they don't want people talking about is they don't want people onto them, and they usually don't want people to talk about the mechanics of the system and what it's really all about. And they don't want the elites don't want themselves to be exposed, the big tech elites, for what they really are, which are like criminals. So, or politicians in Washington and Wall Street. So they don't want to be exposed as criminals, as real life criminals. And so they want to paint a rosy picture of themselves that they're good and they're not bad for society. So they don't care if I have 200 subs, and that's a very small reach. But this guy is 6.6 million on his alternative media, and he's on Rumble, and he's probably got his own website and everything. So, um, of course, this is about finances, but it's also silencing Russell Brand. That's what big tech elites and tyrants want to do. They want to take away people's ability to speak and to reach and to express themselves and tell people the truth. They don't want truth, they want lies. They want deception. They want brainwashing, indoctrination. They don't want people thinking for themselves, not critically anyway. Even though this sounds like a big George Carlin rant, but it's pretty evident that that's what's going on. Um, so, yeah, of course, it's for financial gain. Who are these women? Random women that slept with Russell Brand one night, or were in a relationship for a few months back in the day. Um, they were just boning down and they're in love or whatever, and then the girl or the women maybe they're want to seek revenge because he didn't marry them, and maybe they felt used because they shared the wild thing together, the call of the wild, and maybe they just felt burned ultimately, down the road, and they all got together. Hey, even though I did consensual sex, we're going to say it's rape or something. And so, um, but I believe all this sex was, if these women even did have sex with him, they're not just paid by left leftist forces of the liberal global world order, um, then I bet the sex was consensual and it wasn't rape. It was like, ooh, look, I'm going to get me a nice, pretty man, and this man is going to provide a lot, and we're going to have a big family and live in the dream or whatever, the dream of Western civilization or something like that. And then they could call all their friends and be like, hey, guess what? Who I'm dating? Russell Brand. Yeah, we just slept together last night, or you know, get out of here, girlfriend. And it's like, yeah. So the girl's like thinking, oh, I got one, I got it set up. And then when the relationship went south, it was like out the door. And then, well, who are these people anymore? They're not have the fame of Russell Brand. They don't have the reach. They don't have the scope. They don't have the money. Um, Television researchers and runners who worked on Channel 4 shows alleged that Brand would ask staff to approach young female audience members that he found attractive so he could meet them after filming. Contacted on Saturday by The Guardian, Tavistock Wood said Russell Brand categorically and vehemently denied the allegation made in 2020. But we now believe we were horribly misled by him. TW has terminated all professional ties to Brand. Sources also told the investigating journalist that Brand displayed concerning behavior on several occasions during his time at the BBC, including one incident described as an alarming display of aggression and disrespect. The Sunday Times said sources had said Brand's attitude towards women became what the paper termed an open secret in radio and TV production. From Russell Brand's personality, there's no indicator that he is a some sort of sexual predator. There's nothing that is a red flag that goes off like that. He grabbed me and got me on the bed. I was fully clothed, and he was naked at this point. In other words, let me paraphrase that. Oh, he's a rich guy, and I'm not very wealthy, so I'm gonna try to fuck his life over and make him a martyr of the Me Too movement. In other words, I'm gonna get his money, even if there's no shred of evidence, even if it's 20 years later. I'm gonna get his money. That's what the women are after, right? It's like, yeah. Well, they could always say the sex was not consensual. They could always say, "Oh, I said no," when they really said, "Hell yes." It also quoted Alice, who went on to work for Channel 4, saying concerns were raised when it was proposed Brand would host a show. The solution that was offered was that we would take the female staff off the crew. Women that have worked hard to get into this industry now can't work on particular shows because of fear that they might be assaulted or harassed. I was in disbelief, she told the paper. Dispatches featured an interview Brand did on his BBC show with Jimmy Savile, who was posthumously exposed as a serial sexual abuser, where the pair discussed the possibility of Brand's female assistant turning up naked to meet the DJ. Brand had already moved to deny what he called very serious criminal allegations on Friday night. In a video posted online, he said he had received correspondence from a media company and a newspaper detailing the claims, This is standard practice for journalists preparing to report serious allegations about a named entity. He issued his denial in a video posted across his accounts on several media platforms, insisting his relationships had always been consensual. He portrayed the reports as a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks and said that they pertained to a period of his career when he was working in the mainstream. As I have written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous at the time. Brand continued. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent, and I'm being transparent about it now as well. To see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Okay. On Saturday night, Brand performed at the Troubadour Wembley Park Theatre in London. He arrived almost an hour later than planned to perform a show, Bipolarization, after getting stuck in traffic. Opening his act to applause, he thanked the crowd and said, "There's some things I cannot talk about, and hopefully you appreciate that. I'm going to give you everything I've got." Channel 4 said it was appalled to learn these deeply troubling allegations, including behavior alleged to have taken place on programs made for Channel 4 between 2004 and 2007. The firm's spokesperson said, "We are determined to understand the full nature of what went on. We have carried out extensive document searches and have found no evidence to suggest the alleged incidents were brought to the attention of Channel 4. We will continue to review this in light of any further information we receive, including the accounts of those affected individuals." Is there many more? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear asshole. Happy birthday to you. And many more from Channel 4. That's how I was tying it all together, right? So at first you're like, why are you singing the happy birthday song? Because they go, and many more from Channel 4. They had the ending part at it. A BBC spokesperson said Russell Brand worked for a number of different organizations, of which the BBC was one. As is well known, Russell Brand left the BBC after a serious editorial breach in 2008, as did the then controller of Radio 2. Radio number one. I like that. I like how the BBC, how their entertainment is set up. Like I love that. Like Radio One and Radio Two, and they don't call it a series. I mean, sorry, they call it yeah. That's I think they call it in America we call it a series. Over there they call it something different. It's like oh man, now I forgot. The circumstances of the breach were reviewed in detail at the time. We hope that demonstrates that the BBC takes issues seriously and is prepared to act. Indeed, the BBC, over successive years, evolved its approach to how it manages talent and how it deals with complaints or issues raised. We have clear expectations around conduct at work. These are set out in our employment contracts, the BBC values, the BBC code of conduct, and the anti-bullying and harassment policy. We will always listen to people if they come forward with any concerns or any issue related to any individual working at the BBC, uh, past or present. So, what is the British Broadcasting Corporation? Uh, I was watching. It was Sherlock. It was Sherlock BBC, and that's a show with Benedict Cumberbatch and um, Martin Freeman. That's an amazing show. It was really good. I don't. No, they don't call it a series. They call it something else for the British for the shows. They call it some kind of cool word. But I can't remember it. It's been a while since I watched all the BB. I didn't catch up with the Sherlock was kind of Benedict Cumberbatch blew up, with Marvel and all that stuff, and in movies in general, and so they started to film different. Uh, they started to space out Sherlock, so it was like in different years. It would just go on for years and years, and then they'd film uh, one part, and then they'd film. It wasn't like it was scheduled like AMC, like Walking Dead, like season by season, year by year. It was like um, spotty, I guess, because his career was blowing up so much in Hollywood that like they had to fit in. Um, they had to fit it in. So, so Sherlock BBC, they call it what? They say it's 4 seasons, but it's called something else. Do they call it the series, or do they call it the? I love that whole idea. Like, okay, they just call it the series. Okay, wow. Okay. Oh, that's what it was. You had it right. It was the series. In the United States, they call it the seasons, and then in the United Kingdom, they call it the series. Okay, okay, all right. So every season is a series in BBC. So I always thought that was pretty cool. But I thought they had a different word for it, but it was that word, but just used in a different way, kind of a unique, cool way. So BBC One, BBC Two. This is like a lot of British stuff in here, huh? So there's a lot of like, it's easy just to pick just something like BBC and make and sing a song about it, because like there's tons of songs about Radio One and Radio Two, or there's tons of songs about BBC, and especially by British uh, rock bands and stuff, and Austin Powers and all that stuff. So interesting. This is a pretty English story, but it's like international, however, because he's an international famous actor. I don't think he's a has been at all. I think he's very much on. I think he's still pretty much like on top game. I mean, he's not starring in movies all the time, but he's in terms of his YouTube channel and his search of the truth. He's doing his true news and stuff like that. He's doing a great job covering. He basically makes a video that's usually conspiratorial in nature, but it's based on kernels of truth. And he's like, "Are we getting screwed over?" And then then he deep dives into the topics. I think they're cool. I like them a lot. But at first, he gave off that like kind of douchebag rock star vibe, and guys who are kind of shallow and narcissistic, and they only care about certain things, and they're not really. Now he's taken on a more kind of a shaman type, uh, almost like a Jesus saintly kind of character. Like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs anymore. Like, now I'm just a saint, but I used to live like a sinner. And, the persona is working for him. I mean, that's probably who he really is. It's like he wants to be a saint, he wants to do the right thing. I think. I don't think that's an act. I think that comes across as very genuine in his videos. So may Brand be exonerated from this witch hunt again. He gets witch hunted like Trump, and because they don't want Russell Brand speaking the truth, and the Democrats don't want Donald Trump to be reelected. So they're trying all their tricks. This guy who wants to be president raped somebody. They're pulling out all shit, even shit that's not true. They're paying people to come out and just drop a bombshell on it, sabotage their careers, their lives, their finances, and that's what they're doing. Yeah, they're trying to take down Russell Brand, the Obamas or whoever, or the people who run NBC, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, the BBC. Somebody's trying to take him out, right? Don't know exactly who it is, but we kind of have an idea of who it is. And so, yeah, this will be an interesting thing if he can weather this storm. I think he's got the tools. I think he's got the cash. I think he's got the poise. I think he's, yeah, I wouldn't characterize the guy as squeaky clean, but I don't think he's a sexual predator either. So I don't think he's a female abuser. Um, but we'll see. They're called allegations, and they're probably, like his lawyer said, they're perpetrated by jealousy, envy, and seeking a financial gain. So somebody has something, and then you want that something, and it's like, well, then how do people get it then? Well, they have to sue or do some kind of legal action, right? So it's like, um, I don't know. Let's say I become a multimillionaire one day, and either through, like, I don't know, um, winning the lottery, deceased uncle, inheritance, or something like that. Uh, Somehow I become a millionaire, right, in the future, and then somebody brings out something from a long time ago, and maybe they have a grudge against me, or something like that. They bring it out like, we got you. You did this in the year, 2021, and or oh yeah, remember that thing you did in 2009, and then they get their lawyers and try to accuse you of something, and then you know what I mean. It's like they wouldn't come after you if you didn't have any money. If you were broke, they can't do shit. I mean, they'd just be like, why would I sue a broke person? You're not going to get anything. So if you sue a wealthy person, hey, E. Carroll got $5 million. I'm not saying these guys. Yeah, they like beautiful women. They like beautiful young women, and they like to get down. They like to boogie. They like to party. At least with the opposite sex, anyways. Maybe not with booze and uh, drugs anymore, but they love that opposite sex, man. It's just whew, it's yeah, they love it, man. And they're playboy types anyway. They're living the playboy life, so why not enjoy yourself? I mean, so I'm sure the women were enjoying dreaming of being Russell Brand's wife or something like that. So they were fantastic. So yeah, at first when I thought it, when I saw him when I was like 24, I was like, oh, he's kind of funny. He's kind of ridiculous. And, you know, like he reminds me of some rock star guy I used to hang out with who was really arrogant and selfish, and that's the vibe that he. But he also had like a kind of a cool, like kind of a yeah, it was like a rock star vibe. I always thought he was pretty cool, and now he's gotten older. He's got into this like Jesus, monk kind of thing, which is pretty cool. And taken to becoming a YouTuber, and got himself out of Hollywood, and got himself. I'm proud of him for getting off the drugs and the liquor and all that shit. So, uh, bravo. But this might be his biggest trial, but besides booze, this might be bigger of a trial than uh, heroin. It's probably this one's going to be yeah. It's going to be to see if his Russell Brand's brand can survive into the future, or if these mainstream media forces are able to shut him up and shut him down. So we'll see what happens. God bless. Best of success. I hope he's exonerated and he fights like hell, and he's back to uh, doing great videos, exploring the truth and getting down to the bottom of the system and questioning mainstream media and its bogus narratives. And I hope it's back to that. Yeah, back to the good stuff and away from this. Like angry, bitter women that didn't get to become his wife are broke and need money and get together and try to screw over this guy for a sexual consensual liaison, a tryst back in the day. So yeah. we'll see what happens. But God bless, best of success. Happy weekend. Saturday. Saturday. But yeah, even if my roommate does party, I just had a beer bender that was pretty serious. So now I'm getting back on my meds. I'm gonna stop the brew, and even though I love Brother Brewhaw, but it's time to cut it out because I'm already like old, older, middle age, like 43 years old, and just it really those hangovers after 40. It's not just the dehydration. Um, it's not just a headache and stuff. It's like you just feel like crap, and so that lingers on after 40 for days, like the Hangover movie or something, or it's like This Is 40 or something like that. It's like um, you find yourself in This Is 40. You're just like Paul Rudd. You're playing for your kids. This is good music, and you're like it's Alice in Chains, and they're putting on fucking Cardi B or some horseshit like that, and so yeah. Then you're smoking you're having a midlife crisis. You're smoking the doobie and you're running around being ridiculous. And so I like that movie. This Is 40, and it's funny. Like Paul Rudd can't get a boner. And that's a funny movie, really. I like that one. I liked it even before I was 40. I liked it when it came out, right? Like 10 years ago when I was in my 30s. I was like, oh, this is 40. Look at this movie. It's like about the reality of being middle aged in America. I was like, that's the raw shit. That's the real shit. But that's neither here nor there. Um, that was more like an extra anecdote. So happy weekend. May Russell Brand be free to expose the truth.